So I am live. This is attempt number 2. I'm going to give you guys a second to come back. I was live. I put my phone on do not disturb, but somehow a call came through. I don't even know. I'm going to have to check the settings for that. But welcome again. My name is Stephanie Kerr. I am an author. I'm a content creator. Edith, it's so good to see you. And today in this live video, what I want to talk about are just some lessons from the week. So if you're being sent this video, you've never seen one of my videos, then I'm just gonna explain what we do here. So I just sit down Thursday or Friday, take a look at the week that I just went through, and come up with 2 to 3 lessons that I'm taking away from the week. Come on here, share them, and usually they're able to bless other people. So I hope that this time will be no different. So again, we are back, and I'm just gonna jump right into it because I had already started when the call came through. All right, so last week, one of the lessons that I had taken away from the week was the fact that when we are transparent and we're honest, then people can meet us where we are. And they can actually show up to meet needs that we have now communicated with. Welcome. Yes, now they can meet needs that we have communicated with them. And that was one of the lessons I had taken away from last week, and I actually saw the very same thing demonstrated this week. So this week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of last week, I should say, there was a convention at church, and I had a chance to attend in person on a Saturday and on a Sunday. So the speaker was flown in from Florida, very dynamic speaker, able to just look at the topic and break it down in a way that was enjoyable for everyone from like 13 to 96. And this is like actual accounts of people who were saying, I was really blessed by the word, or different things like that. So on the Saturday, the theme of the whole entire convention was a time to build. And on the Saturday, he came and he spoke to us from the book of Nehemiah, because Nehemiah in the Bible is someone who is rebuilding a wall. He's rebuilding the ruins of what was once a beautiful habitation, a beautiful city that had been torn down. The people are now in a state of depression and distress, and he's coming in to rebuild. So that's the passage that he chose to speak to us from. Oh, I forgot to give the disclaimer. So I live in the city, and I live very close to a park, and it's summertime, so there are kids outside. So if you guys hear kids, they're screaming, they're running, that's what it is. But hopefully you guys can hear me over the kids. So back to Saturday now. The sermon topic was just one. And what he was wanting to communicate to us was the fact that God just needs one person to say yes. He calls you, he tells you that this is what he wants you to do, he instructs you in the path that you're supposed to go. All he needs is one person to say, yes, I will do it, right? Just waiting for the truck to pass. Just one person, right? And we shouldn't be looking for other people to say that they will be the one person. We should actually be excited to tell God, I will be the one person. I will be the one person who sees the responsibility, who sees the gap, and who goes in to build, who goes in to accomplish what only can be accomplished by them in the specific way that God wanted them to do it, right? So that's Saturday, and Saturday was a blessing. Worship was amazing. There was a psalmist who came from the UK. I don't know where he's from, but Aaron Hill, shout outs to him. He's amazing, super talented. If I can, I will see if I can tag him in the caption of this video. But Sunday rolls around, and Sunday was, it far eclipsed what Saturday was in terms of potency, in terms of power and impact. And here's why. As you see from the title that I put, transparency transforms ordinary moments into miraculous ones. Because people truly cannot meet us fully where we are until we tell them, until they know where we are. People can't meet us where we are until they know specifically where we happen to be. So he's preaching on Sunday now, and he decides to build on what he shared with us the day before, which was just one. He continues to tell us that even though God just needs one person to say yes, when that person is building, that one person is going to need the support of other people to make it happen. So his topic on day 2 was stand by me. Now, this is a pastor who has his own congregation, and then as he's talking about the subject, he decides to go into a testimony, shares with us that just a few weeks prior, not 25 years prior, not 10 years prior, not 2 years prior, but just a few weeks ago, he was dealing with a situation with his 14-year-old daughter where he just found out just the high-risk lifestyle that she was engaged in, found out that she's addicted to drugs, just all of this different stuff had been taking place. And as he's telling us, the whole entire congregation is, I'm sure, feeling a lot like me at the time, which is just really surprised to hear the level of transparency. Because it's not that we don't hear people being transparent around us, it's just that we don't often hear people like literally going down into the nitty-gritty of what's taking place and being honest, especially in a context of a leader to the people that they're leading, right? So that was the moment. That was how the moment began to shift from, I don't want to say an ordinary moment, because I never want to call a moment where people of God gather to be an ordinary moment, but it's what took that sermon, it's what took that moment to a miraculous moment. Because he shared with us, again, the struggle that his daughter had been going through and the struggle that he and his wife had been encountering with their 14-year-old daughter engaging in what she was engaging with, and just how difficult that was. At one point, a couple weeks ago, they had a disagreement, and he pretty much was just like, well, listen, if this is how you're going to be, you can't stay here. And so she left. So now this 14-year-old girl, literally addicted to drugs, literally in a space where she is not, she's not willing to yield to what her parents are saying, is now living on her own. And as he's preaching, he's like, yeah, I actually haven't even seen her up until this day. Since she left that day, I haven't seen her. And so everyone, we're just really understanding what he's talking about, which again, the topic is stand by me. And he's letting us know, as a pastor who's here to build, who accepted the call that God has on my life to build, I recognize that I can't do it by myself. I need people to stand with me. So he shares with us that his congregation, well, number one, let's start with his wife. Yes, his wife has just been such a support over the past few weeks and months as they've been just going through this challenge. Their daughter addicted to drugs, involved in high-risk lifestyle, engaged with like all these different people, I'm sure, doing a whole bunch of different stuff. His wife has been standing by him. Not just that, but people in the congregation have been praying for him, fasting for him, and just really making sure that he knows you're not alone as you build and as you answer the call that's on your life. We're here for you. And I guess the biggest takeaway that I would say from that moment, in fact, let me finish. At the end, he invites all the pastors in the house to come up to the front and prays for them. And then, of course, based off of what he shared, it was thought necessary to also have his wife come up and then everyone surround them and pray for them. So exactly what I spoke about last week, which is that when we are transparent, when we are honest, when we let people know where we are, then they can meet us. It would not have been... Now, of course, we could have just prayed for them. They're like, yeah, you guys came all the way from Florida. We're really grateful for your presence here this weekend. You made such a difference. But if he hadn't shared the testimony, if he hadn't shared what was taking place at that point in time, there wouldn't really have been a reason to come as a congregation, as ministers, and everyone come and pray for him in the way that they did. But because he was transparent, everybody was just made aware of the fact that this is the lesson. Leaders are not immune to life happening to them. Life is still going to happen in the life of a leader. It's just that the expectation on them is that they continue to show up. So I was super convicted over the weekend to make sure that I'm praying for the people who lead me, that I'm praying consistently, not every once in a while, not, when they cross my mind, I'm just like, oh yeah, let me pray for my pastor. No, like consistently praying for the people who lead me. And as I was thinking about this live video and just preparing for it, I thought to myself, in a moment like that where it could reflect on his parenting skills or the parenting skills of his wife, and I'm sure he was aware of that. I'm sure he thought about the fact, like, if I share this story, will it look badly on me? But he was more concerned with other people really understanding. Welcome. Yes, more concerned with other people really understanding the necessity of leaders having people stand with them, that he's just like, I'm just going to be real. This is what happened. My 14-year-old left home and I haven't seen her since. I just know that she's out there. She's living with some man. I don't know what she's doing, but this is honestly where I'm at. This is why it's so necessary for people to stand with their leaders. And just as a caveat, he didn't mention any of this, but as I'm thinking about it, it just puts into perspective how important it is for people to, before you're throwing stones at someone, make sure that you're willing to pray for them, not condemn them, not come at them from a place of, oh, like, I'm happy that's not me, or just automatically judgment. But as opposed to looking at someone else and thinking, well, yeah, that's your situation, really going to God on their behalf and asking God to shift the situation, to change people's hearts, to intervene, to break down anything that needs to be broken, to build up anything that needs to be built up. And this is something that I've also thought about too when it comes to prayer. I know that everyone has a different personality. Some people are just like super energetic wherever they go. They're just like bouncing off the walls. Other people are more laid back. They're quiet. They talk quieter. They talk slower. It's just different. You know, there's just different personalities, right? However, one thing that I've seen in the place of prayer is that oftentimes when we are praying for a situation that we're not super invested in, now this is the lesson that we're looking at right now, is how leaders are not immune to life happening to them. Really pray as if this was your life, as if the situation was happening to you, as if the situation was happening to your 14-year-old, the person who you have raised, the person who you've invested in, you've given everything as a parent to this child, and now they're doing what they're doing. When we go into the place of prayer on behalf of the person, the parents, really pray as if this was your child. And that's an encouragement that I have for anybody who will watch this video or who's watching now. Really pray for people when you're praying for them. Really pray as if you care. As if you care. And again, that's going to sound different. That's going to look different. Like I said, we all have different personalities, and our personalities are going to come out as we pray. But don't just be like, I don't know, you hear somebody is going through this very same situation. You go to God and you're just like, yeah, God, I pray that you would remember this pastor and his wife, and that you would just cause her daughter to come home. Amen. That's a cute prayer. However, I don't think that if this was you, that's how you would be praying about it. And so the encouragement is really just to be reminded of the fact that the people who are leading us, they're going through life. They are going through different situations that are challenging. And the only difference is that while they're going through it, people are still expecting of them. A lot of times when people are not in leadership capacities, when they're going through something, what do? They actually just decide to not be there. They just remove themselves. They just, whatever the case is, they're just no longer dependable, or you can't look for them anymore because they've decided to just remove themselves. And this is not to say that sometimes it won't be necessary to take a step back. Sometimes it is 100% necessary to, even as a leader, especially as a leader, to recognize that this is a moment where I need to take a step back. And we completely understand that. And even in those moments, to not even judge the fact that they're taking a step back because they recognize this is what is needed. So there's a comment here, and Brian is saying that would be the gift of compassion. We need to believe the Lord for it. I agree. I completely agree that being compassionate and being empathetic is a gift, and not everyone has it. Yes, not everyone has it. So it is something to go to God about. If you find that you are never touched with what's taking place in somebody else's life, it might actually be an invitation for you to ask God for more compassion. Why is it that nobody's situation but yours actually moves you? Why is it that you can pray for everything that you want? You can pray for the new car, for the new house. Welcome, Nisha. You can pray for all of these different things with enthusiasm, with vigor, with passion. But when it comes to other people and interceding on their behalf, that's when your prayers are 30 seconds long, right? So that was just lesson number 1 from the week. Transparency transforms ordinary moments into miraculous ones. Because that night, we were literally there at church until like midnight. Nobody wanted to go home. Everyone was just caught up in this moment of glory, caught up in this moment of just, this is different. You know when a moment feels different, and it felt different, and it was unlocked by the fact that one person, just one, that's what he spoke about on Saturday, just one person decided to accept the call. He was invited to come speak from Florida, and he was like, okay, I'll do it. Even though his life and what's taking place in his family is challenging, he decided to show up. And then on the Sunday, decided to use that space, that platform, to tell us, as a leader, this is what I'm going through. And the only reason I've been able to make it this far is because people have been standing with me. So the encouragement really is for those people who are leading you. They may be your pastors, they may be your parents, they may be your coaches, your mentors, the people who are leading you, who you have decided to follow. Don't forget to pray for them. They are not immune to tragedies happening. They are not immune to life unfolding in difficult ways for them. And what they need is somebody who's willing to say, I'm not going to judge you for the difficulty that you're going through. I'm actually just going to stand with you. So I think that's enough on lesson number 1. And lesson number 2, this one's a little bit lighter. Lesson number 2 that I took away from the week that was highlighted for me this week was the fact that healed and healing people hear differently. Healed and healing people hear differently. So I've heard that before. I've seen that as an Instagram post, I believe it is. And I probably liked it because I agree that it is true. So on Sunday, like I said, I was at this convention and I had a chance to see someone I haven't seen in a really long time. He is a husband, he's a father, he has more than one child, and he was at the convention on the Sunday. So I had a chance to talk to him, and as I'm talking to him, he said one thing, and I'm not going to mention what it was, but he mentioned something that in the moment I said to him, can I challenge you on that? And I proceeded to just challenge his thinking on that particular topic just a little bit. I asked a question, and days later, I believe by Tuesday, it was still on my mind. I was just like, no, there was something more that needed to be said to that particular statement. And so I messaged him on Tuesday and I said, hey, just let me know when you have a moment. I want to give you a call. I should have been timing so I could see how long this was. But I'm going to wrap up shortly. And if you guys have any takeaways, definitely drop them in the chat as we go. I'm just looking at this other comment here. As we often don't have it the way we need to. Yes, I agree. We often do not have that gift of compassion to the extent that we really need to have it. It's only when something kind of touches us that we're moved by it. But until it touches us, we're just like, meh, someone else's life doesn't really have anything to do with me. But that's not the heart of God. That's not the heart of Jesus. And especially if we say we're followers of Jesus, that really should not be our response. But going back to Sunday now, I have that conversation with him. He says something, and I do call it out in the moment. But there was a certain level that I didn't really get a chance to go to in that conversation, and Tuesday was still on my mind. So I text him and I say, hey, when you have a chance, let me know when I can give you a quick call. And so he's like, yeah, anytime after 4 o'clock. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'm heading out of the home around that time that day, on the Wednesday, I should say. And I decide to just sit down outside and give him a call. So I give him a call and I say what was on my heart. And before I called him, I was just like, is it even my place to say anything? I'm not a parent. I'm not a spouse. Maybe there's just certain elements of this dynamic I don't understand, and maybe he's gonna take it the wrong way. And so I was just kind of dragging my feet on saying anything. But I called and I shared what I had noticed with him and what I had learned over the years. And he sat there and he listened and he said, "You're right, I receive it." And at one point in the conversation, he said to me, "It feels like a rebuke, but a soft rebuke." And I was just like, well, yeah, that was part of the reason I didn't even want to say anything, because, listen, I don't have my own kids. I don't know how this works. But I just, again, that one statement just kept ringing in my mind over and over and over. And I'm just like, I wonder if he knows. I wonder if he knows, as a parent, the authority that he's been given to speak into his children's lives. I wonder if he knows that as a father, there's a certain level of weight that God has assigned to his words over his kids. So I brought it up with him. And what that highlighted, again, like I said, was how differently people hear what you say when they have done the work to heal. Because there will be other moments where you address something with someone and automatically they feel attacked. Automatically their defenses go up. Even though it may not have even had much to do with them, their defenses automatically go up because there's something that you touch there that isn't settled in their person. It's not settled in their heart and in their mind. So automatically you're met with defensiveness. And just something I've learned over the years about defensiveness that I keep in mind when I'm talking to people is that if I say something, I'm met with defensiveness. I know that either I said something or something was said or something was communicated that caused the person to feel misunderstood. So I try to address the misunderstanding before trying to proceed and to move forward, because I know that the reason this person is pushing back is because they feel like I don't see them and I don't hear them. So that's just the tip that I have learned over the years in terms of defensiveness. But this conversation was so pleasant. He just literally heard me and he's like, wow. So it was a good conversation at the end of the day. But again, don't be surprised if you address something with someone and automatically defensives go up. It just means that there was something there that was touched that is an unhealed part of their person, which is okay. We all have those parts of us. But the beauty of what was highlighted to me in that moment was how differently conversations and interactions go when people have done the work to heal, so that they don't hear everything as an attack. It's an opportunity for them to become something different, a different iteration of their person, right? So those were the lessons from the week. Number one, leaders are not immune to life happening to them. And for whoever is leading you, the opportunity for us, the invitation for us is really to pray for them and to remember them, to encourage them, to see them, to know that as they're going through life, they need someone to stand with them. And number two, it's that healed people and healing people really do hear differently. So if you're ever met with defensiveness, don't just automatically throw away the conversation and throw away the person. Maybe even pray for that person too. But just know that if you're met with that defensiveness, you can take a moment and be like, okay, I feel like I may have misunderstood you. Is there anything I'm misunderstanding? Is there anything that I've overlooked in this moment? And give them an opportunity to share with you what that could be, so that you guys can address that and then move forward with the situation at hand. So there's that. But my wish for you, my prayer for you guys is that you have so many beautiful conversations with healed people. Because when you address things, and not just conversations, but relationships with, because when you address things with them, you'll be able to just feel the difference, and it will be wonderful. So again, if there's any takeaways, if there's any questions, then I will give you guys a moment to share what those may be. But if there aren't any, I will end the live video at this point, and I want to thank you for joining me live, and thank you for watching the replay. My name is Stephanie Kerr, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Again, you guys still have a couple seconds to go ahead and share. But if there's nothing, then that'll be it for the week. I think you guys are good. I don't see anything here. All right, so again, thank you for having joined me. Have an amazing weekend, and God bless.